RTD board met to talk about possible service cuts last night. A real-world example of the agency's problems was playing out a couple of miles away. A group of Avs fans got a pretty good idea what this operator shortage feels like, waiting for a train that never showed. So this E-line alert sent earlier in the day said the 9:58 train was back on. Google showed it moving. So did RTD's own app. Then you look at the digital board for help. It's not working. The 9:58 never came, leaving a group of frustrated hockey fans even more frustrated. And today, we took a deeper look at how RTD says they might fix this. These service cuts are being sold as a way to reduce the need for operators who are being overworked as it is. Right now, RTD is short about 145 bus and rail operators in total. Many of them are working mandated 6-day weeks each week to cover for that.
We're looking to try to do this, to try to right-size things, to bring some stabilization, to give our drivers some relief.
The proposal presented to the board last night would eliminate the need for 50 operators on weekdays. It eliminates 6 bus lines, the 236 in Boulder, the 16L along West Colfax, eliminating the need for nearly 10 operators total, the 55 connecting Arvada Ridge to Old Town, the 99L, Federal Center, South Kipling, the 403 along Lucent Boulevard in Highlands Ranch, and the 157 connecting the Community College of Aurora and Buckley Air Force Base. This proposal would also slow down frequency along the free bus on the 16th Street Mall, making it available every 3 minutes during peak time as opposed to every 90 seconds. Meaning they'll need 7 fewer operators there.
It's, for lack of better words, a sweet spot that we think needs to be maintained at this point.
RTD's COO Michael Ford says it's not that most operators don't want overtime, but they'd rather be in control of it.
When I'm being told I have to work a certain day versus I choose to work that day, that's a different philosophy.
Ford says this would begin to get the agency there, though he admits mandating would still happen even with these cuts. But just getting this problem out there, making it public, may be helping. RTD says they've had a ton of applicants. It just takes a bit to get them onboarded.
Then it's them meeting criteria, us getting them into training. We can only train so many people.
Now, as for light rail reductions of service, on the R line in Aurora, that would free up about 6 operators on weekdays. Senior staff also admitted last night that some of these service cuts could be permanent rather than temporary, depending on ridership. The board will discuss these proposed cuts in January, then set up public meetings in each RTD district. Any final cuts would likely become effective in May. Suncor is apologizing today and finally giving a clear explanation about why their plant covered a neighborhood in ash earlier this month. According to the plant, someone added too much oil to a piece of machinery while they were starting it up on December 11th. Instead of suspending the process, officials say they continued to start it up, and that's what caused those unusual emissions. Suncor and an MSU professor said the emissions were not hazardous. Officials around the Denver metro area are trying to find ways to make our roads safer. Here in Denver, they've reduced speed limits, added more bike lanes and bike and scooter parking areas. Parker Police is asking people living there to tell them where they want to see a little extra enforcement. Parker Police were the first in the country to start using an interactive map where residents can log on every month and report traffic violations in their neighborhoods. They can drop color-coded pinpoints on a map to report speeding, crashes, or other traffic problems that they want officers to look into. Police say the number of people using the map tends to increase during the school year.
We see a lot when school starts is a time because everyone, there's a heightened awareness about school zones, and at the same time, there's not as much awareness in school zones, so you have parents, really letting us know.
Parker Police told us the map has been successful in the nearly 2 years they've used it. They continue to evolve that system to make it more efficient and say they still have more improvements to make.
Right now, we can't comment on a pin that someone drops. So moving forward in the future, eventually we'll get to the point where I'll be able to go and look at yesterday and see all the areas that we did traffic enforcement. And then I can go in and update those areas that coincide with areas that do have pins.
Now, the maps are archived and cleared monthly to help make that data easier to read and to respond to. President Donald Trump is endorsing Colorado Congressman Scott Tipton for re-election. The Republican is defending his seat representing Colorado's western slope. President Trump tweeted today that Tipton supports his agenda, including gun rights and the border wall. Tipton does face a challenger in the Republican primary, Lauren Boebert, a gun rights activist who owns a restaurant and rifle where the wait staff is armed. She is seeking Tipton's seat. She joined Kyle on Next earlier this month about why she decided to run.
What made me decide to run for Congress, what made me decide, Lauren, it's time to mount up, was when I heard my congressman say that he was on a committee with Maxine Waters as a chair, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is on that committee, and Rashida Tlaib was on that committee. And this is the new world that we live in, and they direct the ship. And I said, why aren't you directing the ship? Why aren't you the captain?
He doesn't lead that committee. Maxine Waters leads that committee because she's in the majority and Republicans are in the minority. If you were to beat Congressman Tipton, that's just a Republican for a Republican, so that doesn't get you any closer to a Republican majority.
I believe that he could be active and let the people of Colorado know what's going on.
Kyle's full interview with Boebert is posted right now on the Next YouTube page. Colorado's controversial red flag law kicks in 13 days on January 1st. This highly contested law will allow a family or household member to petition the court to have someone's guns taken away. If the judge finds the person is dangerous, the judge could order that person's weapons be temporarily seized by law enforcement. That person would have to appeal to the court to have their guns returned. Nearly half of Colorado's counties have said they will not enforce that law. Sheriffs who refuse to enforce the court order could face jail time. A judge could hold them in contempt. So if you have any questions about this law, send them over to us, next@9news.com, or use the hashtag HeyNext. If it's not something we've already covered on the show, we will try to find an answer for you. A South Metro fire chief challenged his department's policies to help protect his fellow firefighters from getting the same cancer he got while on the job. That cancer took Chief Troy Jackson's life earlier this week, 6 years after his diagnosis. Today, friends, family, firefighters, even some strangers gathered to pay their respects and honor Chief Jackson's life.
As I stand here on this stage today, I am certain Troy Jackson is the most courageous person I have ever known. Emergency services was Troy's calling. He had a servant's heart.
I remember him being full of energy and passion for the job, and he felt he should and he could mentor other firefighters.
He didn't feel sorry for himself. He never complained. He accepted his cancer, and he soldiered on.
Although his stubborn attitude would not show you, he was in a great deal of pain for many years, and it is with extremely happy hearts we know he's no longer suffering and is forever home.
Troy was tireless in his devotion to making sure no one else would have to go through what he'd gone through.
Everyone here will never forget my dad. We will never forget his childlike giggle, his gentle hugs, and his extraordinary humor. Lastly, my dad will live on in my life with every breath I take. Every time I put on my uniform, I vow to serve the community in the same way my dad did, with love for everyone and a positive, unwavering attitude.
Years of fighting leads to one large victory. Today's good news takes us back to Montbello, where an old friend of Next hosted a big celebration. As a decade comes to an end, we're reflecting on the major weather events that hit Colorado over the last 10 years. Yesterday was tornadoes, wildfire, and drought are next. Wildfire is considered extreme weather because it is closely related to drought, wind, and humidity. And as we take a look back over the last decade, wildfire has been the most destructive weather in our state. Meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen takes a look back.
10 of the top 15 largest wildfires in Colorado history happened over the last 10 years. The first major wildfire of the decade started on September 6, 2010 in Boulder County. The 4 Mile Canyon fire quickly became the most destructive fire in Colorado history at that point. as it destroyed 169 homes. On March 26, 2012, embers from a prescribed burn escaped containment and sparked the Lower North Fork Fire. It burned 23 homes and killed 3 Jefferson County residents. To this day, the Lower North Fork Fire stands as the deadliest in Colorado history in terms of civilian losses. Later that year, on June 9th, a lightning strike started the High Park Fire in the foothills of Larimer County, which killed 1 person and burned 259 homes. It then became the most destructive wildfire, a ranking it held for less than a month when the Waldo Canyon Fire started on June 23rd. That fire swept down from the El Paso County foothills into Colorado Springs, burned 346 homes and killed 2 people. Waldo Canyon did more than $450 million in damage. It's the costliest fire in Colorado history. 1 year later, on June 11, 2013, another wildfire hit El Paso County. The Black Forest Fire moved through a heavily populated and densely wooded area on the south end of the Palmer Divide. Spread by high winds, embers moved quickly from yard to yard. It killed 2 people and destroyed 511 homes. While the Black Forest Fire didn't cost as much as the Waldo Canyon Fire, it destroyed the most homes. Also in June of 2013, the West Fork Complex Fire tore through the beetle-killed forest of southern Colorado. It burned more than 110,000 acres in 5 months, becoming the second largest wildfire in Colorado history. Meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen for Next.
Now, many of those wildfires happened during one of the 2 major droughts in Colorado over the last decade. That drought started in the winter of 2010, and in that time, Colorado was under exceptional drought condition for 25 months.
We've seen it all over the past decade, and as we head toward this weekend, we wind down 2019. It looks so quiet and so calm, which is just such a wonderful way to kind of wind things down. Lovely out there at the Lagerman Reservoir. John Roper capturing that gorgeous sunset. If you were out and about earlier, man, was it a view to see. We have those clouds stretched across the I-25 corridor. Otherwise, it's a dry night after midnight. Our skies become clear. Temperatures cool off to the mid-20s, teens around Greeley, and then single digits way up high. High pressure is around, so that keeps us nice and dry. Great traveling conditions this weekend. However, if you're heading out to the west, the Pacific Northwest, and it could be a little dicey with rain and heavy snowfall moving in. Tomorrow, beautiful for the winter solstice. It arrives at 9:19 tomorrow evening, but during the day, mostly sunny skies and highs in the lower 60s. We'll stay in the 60s across the eastern plains, 30s and 40s up in the mountains, and then your 7-day forecast, not bad. The start of Hanukkah, the Broncos game on Sunday, so much fun stuff going on. 64, not quite a record breaker. Our record on Sunday is 70 degrees. We'll slowly cool things off as we head toward the Christmas holiday. Right now it looks like we'll be in the 40s both Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and right now it looks like most of the snow will stay in the mountains.
Perhaps you are going to see Star Wars this weekend and you didn't have time to watch all the movies to get ready. We go to the Next archive to sum up the plots of episodes 4 through 8, since they happened a long time ago. A celebration in Montbello for a new sidewalk and new friends.
I wish I could hug them all. I have hugged them. I hug them all. I'm so happy. We so appreciate it.
Let's hear your good news next. The end of a decade brings the end of an era. The final installment of Star Wars' main storyline, The Rise of Skywalker, premiered in theaters last night. If you're not familiar with that series, we are here to help you out. It's Flashback Friday, so let's show you one of our favorite next stories from 2017, Star Wars in 1 minute. This is Luke Skywalker. He lived on a desert planet until a robot came with a message, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope." So Luke and his old man friend found a pilot named Han and his hairy friend Chewbacca, and they traveled to space to save Princess Leia. Then an evil guy named Darth Vader kills Luke's old man friend, and Luke makes a lucky shot and blows up the Death Star. Darth Vader is mad, and Luke goes off to learn how to be a Jedi. That doesn't go very well when he finds out his friends have fallen into a trap. I love you, I know. So Luke faces off with Darth Vader
Vader and finds out something crazy. I am your father. Huh? Then Luke gets all Jedi-y and saves his pilot friend, and he goes off to try to find his dad again. While Han and Leia team up with little animals called Ewoks, Luke finds his dad. And his dad sees the light, but it's too late. And they all live happily ever after until a few years later when a new group called the First Order comes along with Han and Leia's son leading them. And there's a new hero named Rey. She helps blow up the new Death Star and fights Han and Leia's son and then sets off to find Luke, who stares at her. Whew!
Okay, so that was missing episode 8. Suffice it to say that Kylo and Rey teamed up. They killed that big Sith leader guy, and then Leia almost died, but somehow force floated away. There you go. You're ready for episode 9. One that will be relatively emotional for a lot of us out there. They are saying this is the end of a story that my generation and generations before me have followed since we were kids. The end of the Skywalker saga. Each time one of these movies comes out and that text scrolls across the screen with the booming brass of John Williams' score accompanying it, we all kind of feel like kids again. It's joyful. It's fun. And I hope the next generation has something like this. Knowing the money to be made, they probably will. Your good news, brought to you by a sidewalk celebration in Montbello, is next. After years of fighting, a woman in Denver finally got her sidewalk and some new friends in the process. So let's go back to Montbello to celebrate today's good news.
Yeah, but right now we're celebrating what CDOT did. My name is Pam Jiner, and I have good news today. We have brand new sidewalks under the I-70 interchange at Peoria Street. Look at this.
Oh my goodness.
Look, baby. Do you see this?
Oh, yes.
The conditions prior to this new sidewalk has been horrible. Under the I-70 intersection, we had like a 2-foot wide dirt path. Thank God it's not like that anymore. We are so happy to have these sidewalks. Today we're going to celebrate it by cooking dinner. We have a barbecue for all of the construction workers and the cement layers for the I-70 project. But we got barbecue ribs and potato salad and hot mix. Come on and get a plate, okay?
Okay, we'll be over.
Tell everybody, call them, tell them all along to come on down. We feeding everybody. I'm so happy. I want to dance. I'm so happy I cooked all night. Workers, yay! Hi, guys. Hi. Come on, you got free lunch today. Yum. Thank you so much for our sidewalks, y'all. I wish I could hug them all. I have hugged them. I hug them all. I'm so happy. We so appreciate it. All right, so we're celebrating. Yes. We fed them. They're nice and full. They're not going to do no more work today. They're going to crawl up under the bridge and take a nap.
Nice big sidewalk. On our new sidewalk.
Thank you guys so much.
You're welcome.
Gosh, I love her energy. Mary writes in her good news today. Her daughter is here for Christmas. My good news, I'm getting out of here tonight. I'm going to go see the new Star Wars movie, and I'm going to wear this sweater. See you next time.